Mia Healey, welcome to An Actor Spares. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for having me.
This is so cool because I think I'm like 130 episodes in, and this is the first time I've had a guest from the future. So how is tomorrow looking? Is it good?
It's good so far. So far, it's good. Yeah, I can't give you any tips on what's happening in all the sport games and everything like that. My manager actually once told me that her kid said one time, like, "Oh my God, can you ask one of your clients in Australia to like tell me what happened in the baseball game or whatever it was?" And like, it doesn't really work like that. But
That's so funny. I guess I wonder kind of like in hindsight now what like sports people did back in the day before television. Because like
yeah,
what if you had someone that could tell you in Australia, but you didn't get the news? I don't know. But we're here to talk about you, not sports.
we
So
still for a really long time would like get movies. I think it still happens like really like late, like behind America so much, which is strange. But we were always like waiting for the movies from America to come to Australia. It was always torture.
well, we were just speaking off there. Someone that I have so much respect for and so much love for that is on your team has spoken so highly of you, and anyone she mentions is someone that I take serious. And I watched your episode. I thought it was
Oh,
outstanding.
thank you.
You obviously very beautiful inside and out, and it was such an interesting character. And it's as an American, because we think our accent is the center of the world, it's always interesting when that you hear the accent, and then you meet them for the first time in their natural accent. So I'm
Yeah.
having that moment right now. Great work accent wise.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from an American.
I'm from
So,
Virginia too, so I know the Southern accent well. But
oh,
so if it's cool with you, let's start at the beginning. You grew up where in Australia?
so I was born in Sydney, Australia,
Okay.
and I went to a few different schools around Sydney. And then when I was 13, 14, my parents shipped me off to the country. No, we all moved to the country together to a
Of,
town called Powell.
of Australia country?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
still within the same state, but it was like 2 hours south of Sydney inland. So grew up there, did like year 8 to 12 of high school there.
Are your
Um,
parents artists?
no, they're not. They're actually both in business.
Well,
So very, yeah, very bizarre. But they're very involved in the arts, but they're not artists.
if you
Um,
don't mind, elaborating for those listening, because I had a similar experience where I lived in a town and I had to spend some time in the country. How was
mm.
that transitional wise from you? Because I know that could be really tough as a child.
It was kind of at that, those formative years around like 14, 15, where you're kind of becoming a teenager and, you want to start hanging out with your friends by yourself and just grow up a bit. And then to be kind of moved to the country was definitely a big shift in my life. I was originally really excited because I was really into equestrian and horse riding. So
I can
that was
tell.
something,
That's awesome.
yeah, so that was something I was super excited to do and like get a horse and do the whole country lifestyle thing. And then towards, yeah, like 15, 16, all my friends from primary school that were like going to the beach and going to the shops and like being able to, just do all those city things where it was kind of like, why me?
So wait, you still went to the same high school even though you were in the country?
No, I moved high
Oh,
school.
okay, got it,
Yeah.
got it. Oh,
It's
so
just,
you had to say goodbye to friends.
yeah, for sure, totally. But I'd already kind of moved schools a lot before then. So I was pretty used to like holding on.
Nomadic.
Yeah, that sort of lifestyle, even though, it was still in the same city. So it wasn't that hard, and I love meeting new people. So that wasn't really a big issue for me because I kind of always loved being the new kid like that. I don't
That
know,
is
meeting new
cool.
people.
Um,
Yeah.
um,
Always.
I'm curious, because I know what it's like to live a, kind of nomadic lifestyle. What for you when you were doing this? What was anchoring you? I mean, did you have a sport? Was it acting, or what was Mia's passion? You
It
said
was,
horse riding, obviously my fault, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I love the word anchoring, by the way. I use that actually quite often.
Oh, nice. We're in sync
Yeah.
here. I love it. I feel the energy.
Yeah. I always say that my jewelry anchors me, not in this instance, but I always use the word anchor with my jewelry. But so I guess what anchored me is definitely acting. It was always something that I wanted to do and something that, I love doing. Obviously, moving to the country kind of limited what I was able to do because, growing up in Sydney, I could go and do, classes on the weekend or the school holidays and short courses or whatever outside of school. But when you're in the country, that is like not a thing really at all. But luckily I had a really good drama teacher and a really good drama program at my school. So I was able to throw myself into that.
Was there a moment in your life, like were your parents, big into movies? Like what was the moment where it all opened up to Mia?
I think my parents at one point, I just always loved just performing and just like creating little things with friends, and I was just kind of born a performer. It wasn't necessarily an acting thing immediately. It was more just like, oh, this kid is like, just wants to just perform in whatever respect that is. So my parents kind of, I think, must have gotten sick of me doing little short plays for them in the living room. Sent me off to an acting class when I was like 4, and I just fell in love with it. And I'm like, damn, okay.
That's so beautiful. And I've had, do you know Toby Wallace?
I don't know him personally, but I actually just listened to your podcast with him yesterday.
Amazing. Oh, nice. Well, Toby, grew up there. So talk to me. What was the process for you getting involved with the arts? Because I know it can be, tough in Australia, particularly on, the east side of the coast. So what was your journey like?
So it was always kind of in Australia, the kind of general process is to finish high school and go to a NIDA or a Whopper or some sort of like performing arts school.
Is that what Nicole Kidman and Naomi did? Or is that one of their schools?
They did. I know Kate Blanchett did.
Okay.
And Mel Gibson and people like that, but a lot of people didn't. So it's you don't have to at all. Like that's not what you have to do at all. I always wanted to do that because when I was a kid, I would go and do like weekend courses and school holiday courses or whatever at NIDA, which is the National Institute of Dramatic Art in Sydney. And then so I finished high school. I auditioned
for the proper program there.
There was the 3-year program, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts, which goes for 3 years. It's a lot of theory, which I would have loved to have done in retrospect. For me, I was like, there was also that year, the first time they were doing a 1-year course, and it was stage and screen. It was called Diploma of Stage and Screen, and it was really screen heavy. And I'd never really done screen anything before, so I was like, I may as well do this 1-year thing first, and then if I want to go back and do 3 years so I get my theory done. And then I auditioned for the 1 year. I didn't audition for the 3. I auditioned for the 1 year.
What was the audition consisting of? Was it monologues or was it scenes or?
It was a monologue, and then they did a lot of improvisation and group work, and then they did scene work in the callback. Wow. But I didn't get in because I was living in Bowral. I was living in the country, and I go there to do the audition, and then they came in at the end. This is just me being so like naive and not really knowing how it works, but they came in after the original audition and they said, hey, if it's all good, we'd love to see you guys back just later today again, just to have another look. And I was, mum was like, I've got fish in the car and we're driving back to the country.
Wait, so they tell you didn't get in, but then they ask you to hang around?
No, they didn't say I didn't get in. They just said, all of you. So they said to everyone that did the audition.
Oh, okay, got it.
You guys we want to like do another look. So I went to and then in my head, I was like, oh, that's not a callback, because if it was a callback, they wouldn't have everyone back and they would have said it's a callback. So I was already confused, but my mom was, we needed to get back to the country. So I went to the reception. I said, hey, can you make sure that wasn't a callback and just let me know if it was, and I'll come back on the weekend. I got to go. And they were like, yeah, no worries. And then I didn't even get in. And it turns out it was a callback, and I didn't even.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Devastated. I remember pulling into my house in Bowral that night and being like, "That was so a callback." Because
where was Uber?
I was like, "What have I done?" I've just missed out, and I was so heartbroken. And then I found out I didn't get in, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "I didn't even do my callback." Anyway, I was so upset. So I went to a different school for a few weeks. When I finished high school, I got into a different school and I went there for a few weeks. And then I got a call from NIDA and they were like, yo, if you still want to come, we've got a spare spot. Someone dropped out if you want to come. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I totally did it.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I did, and just like the stars aligned in that moment. But yeah, I didn't get in originally. So funny.
That's
I
so
didn't
beautiful.
tell anyone that from my year group either for a
No
really long
way.
time until the end. I was like, by the way, I'm not actually supposed to be here.
I think as all actors, we're all not supposed to be here. That's the miracle of
Yeah.
acting. So
Yeah.
talk to me, having, I don't know what it's like in what your equivalent of high school is. Were you doing productions in high school of like of musicals and plays, or is that not really a thing there?
We did like that. We have like a senior musical at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's different depending on what school you go to. All around Australia, I'm sure there are different sort of programs. But at the school I went to, it was like the senior musical, and we did Pippin, and I played. Is it Catherine? I can't even remember now.
I'm honestly not a musical guy. It's not my strong
Yeah.
suit. Yeah.
Okay, good, because I cannot
Yeah.
remember that so bad. But played one of the characters in that, and that was a lot of fun. But they do like plays throughout, and in your drama classes, you're making plays, and we have the HSC, which I don't know what your equivalent is, but it's like your senior final exams.
Oh, okay, cool.
Number to go into university or whatever you want to do. So we make a play with that, and then do a monologue as well. So yeah, there was a lot to do, which was great for me.
And so then when you got into NIDA, what was was it that late, or was it only just a couple weeks?
What do you mean when I?
You said they called you later on after it had started. Like, was it like months, or just a few weeks?
It was probably around a month into the new year.
Okay.
When the course was about, and the course hadn't started yet. And then there were all these issues with the course, and it was getting pushed back, and I think that's why someone had to pull out. So
okay. That's awesome, because I was wondering if you had trouble like integrating with everyone as it went on, but it didn't start yet.
No, it hadn't started yet. Thankfully. I mean, I wouldn't have minded either way. As I said before, I love kind of being the new person and meeting new people, so it wouldn't have been an issue. But yeah.
So talk to me. How was that experience once it did start?
It was so amazing. I seriously look back on those days and just I could study. I feel like I could study for the rest of my life as long as I could work at the same time.
I totally, I would get my master's in a second if I could afford it.
Yeah. You're right. It's just like the fact that you get to just go every day. Because another thing with being an actor, and I'm sure you know this, is like, you don't get to just do your art every day. You have to wait to be told to like be able to do what you love. So when you're studying, you get to do it every day, regardless of if you've booked anything or not. So it's just like this.
I couldn't have articulated that more beautifully, because like as actors, once you enter that post-collegiate phase, you spend more time thinking about acting than you do getting to act.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And you the most acting I feel like I'm ever going to do is when I'm studying, because it's every day. You get to wake up every day and just know that you're driving to a place where you get to do what you love. So I loved it. It was obviously really hard, and they push you a lot, and I definitely changed so much as a person through studying, which I think I needed. And I think studying, it wasn't so much what I learned that made me a better actor. It was more like how I changed as a person that made me a better actor.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it was definitely important for me to do that. And I'm so happy that I did.
And you said while you were there, you guys were doing like film TV scene study. How was that, seeing yourself on camera and learning the dynamics of the difference between theater and film acting?
It was the first time I'd ever really seen myself on camera. And the way the course was designed is that we did it all in kind of, all the screen stuff was basically about auditioning. And so it was always, a green screen or blue screen or whatever, and a camera and a reader, and that was it. So we never really did, actual like screen acting, dialogue, like scene work. It was more about the audition process, which was actually great for us, because it means that, because that's the biggest thing, you got to be able to do a good audition to get a foot in the door, totally. So it was really great to learn that. And I think I would have been really shocked if I hadn't learned about that stuff, or at least been told about how an audition works, because it's a very weird, confronting thing when you're there.
It's the most horrible way of doing what it is to get jobs. You know what I mean? It's awful. Yeah, I hate it. It's like dating. It's like it's online dating. It's the whatever. But
I
Talk to
know.
me while you were there. I imagine, Sydney's ripe with, a film, TV, theater scene of its own. Were you thinking about agents, or was your mind still just in the academic part?
I was thinking about agents. I was always, I'm always kind of thinking about like, or at least while I was there, always thinking about like, oh, what I'm going to do after this, and so excited and just thinking about it in that way. But I definitely just got stuck into the work. It wasn't as much theory as I would have liked it to be, because it wasn't that 3-year course that really dives into the
Yeah.
theory side of things. It was very much, physical and emotional, which was fun. But now I look back and I kind of wish I had that theory in my back pocket to like talk about certain things or certain places or whatever
Well,
it is.
we'll
But
we'll have to get our masters together, obviously, after this.
yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it. I know, right?
So then, while you were there, did they prep you for agent auditioning as well, or?
Yeah, so we have like a showcase at the end of the year, and they basically, our showcase everyone had an audition, basically a self tape, and then we had a scene, like a play sort of miniature scene with someone in the year group.
Well,
So it was great. We got to do a bit of theater and a bit of screen, and they invite all the agents and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to prepare for those things, because a lot of it is just, it's just people. You've just got to mesh with certain people, and I don't know. It's hard to prep for, like, agents.
And when that night came, how did you feel like you did, at least performance-wise?
I loved it. I had the best time, and I feel like I perform really well. I perform my best when I'm under pressure.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, which is it's great. I'm really lucky to be built that way, because there is so much pressure in this industry. So it feels nice to be able to just tell myself that I perform well under pressure. But yeah, so I loved it. I had a really good time. It's obvious, and it's exciting. There's people out there. There's like, your future's kind of out there, and it's a big deal, and which I kind of like. I don't know. Some people find that like really scary, but I was really excited. But I guess maybe if I had done horribly wrong, I might say differently. But
yeah, it's all perspective. But did you have an idea, even before I even ask you what happened? Did you have an idea of what your plan was post grad?
I really didn't have a plan. It was kind of, I'm not really a big planner.
Yeah.
I think I'm built that way, but I also kind of made myself that way, because being in this line of work, it's so hard to plan anything.
Oh.
So I try not to plan anything, really.
Yeah.
And I just hoped that someone in the audience, an agent, would be interested. And if not, my plan was to, make a couple of self-tapes, send them out to agents around Sydney, and just try and like get my foot in the door.
And did an agent bite from the showcase?
Yes, my agent, who's still my agent now in Sydney.
Oh, what's their name? We got to shout them out then.
Clinton at CBN.
What up, Clinton at CBN? That's awesome.
The best. Yeah, he's like such a good friend, and he's the perfect match for me. And I think when you're finding an agent, it's so much about like, because it's a working relationship, right? So it's so much about like how you mesh with this person and how you get along, and we get along so well, so it works. And he works really hard for his clients, and I work really hard for me, and also for him as well. So it's a really nice relationship.
Well, I'm curious, because obviously there's, you're very lucky in this life if you get to choose your path. But, for Australian actors, and as far as the American landscape, there's, the Margot Robbies that happen that just seemingly, become sensations overnight. And then there, the Naomi Watts and, even though Ben Mendelsohn, I know, is big there, it took him a while to catch on here. When you met with this agent, did you have a plan of like, we're gonna tackle the Australian market and then we'll go to America, or what was it? Just figure it out as it went?
That's a really good question. We in our first meeting, it was kind of like, boom, like, let's do it. Let's just go straight for America.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I would do the same.
Yeah, it's just like, and that's kind of who I am as a person as well. It's like, no. If we're doing it, we're doing it. You know what I mean? It's like if I fail,
I guess that's my question. Would you say for Australians, obviously I know I'm not trying, like Chris Lilly, I'm a huge fan of, You know, you guys have a great, wonderful cinematic landscape there, but is making it in the eyes of Australia, making it in America? You know, that's something I'd talk to British actors about.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, most of the TV that we watch is American, you know, and all the pop culture, most of the pop culture that we have is American. So, for sure. I mean, it depends on I guess what you're watching. And I think if you're an actor, you're watching a lot of American stuff. You want to be doing American stuff.
Totally.
So yeah, for sure. And I definitely, but I think, you know, there's so much to do in Australia, and there's such a beautiful scene here. So you could easily stay here forever and have like a really beautiful career and easily. But I think America, and also I think like America just has that sort of, you know, that glitz and glam thing. It's got that shiny sort of success.
Yeah, rags to riches. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Australia is kind of like super chill in the sense that, like, you know, we don't really boast, and we're quite humble, and we're just kind of like quite chill.
Yeah.
But when you go to America and people from Australia are like, oh my gosh, it's like when you succeed in America, it feels like you're just like on top of the world.
Yeah, it is crazy. I know. It's maddening. Well, then
amazing.
did he set up meetings for you in LA? Did you come to America, or what happened?
So I signed with my agent. I was still working as a receptionist at a hotel. I was doing a few auditions, and then I got an audition
for American stuff or for everything.
American stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, which was so great. American stuff, and then I got an audition for The Wilds, and then I was working as a receptionist. I did the audition, and then I got a call back, and I was at work, and I got a call back. Got the email, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go to LA and do this callback.
In person?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My agent was like, you totally can if you want to, but just know you do not have to like spend your money on that. Like, you can stay here and just do a self-tape in the office. Like, break
down that for me, because I fucking love that you did that. So talk, you know, for the actors out there listening, what ignited it? Because I would do the same.
I was at work and I saw it, and I just thought, why the fuck not? Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to lose other than money from doing this? Like, you know, I'm young, I'm eager, I want this. There's literally nothing stopping me. And I just, you know, there was just a surge of passion, and, you know, I love that sort of just independence and having the control over my life. And I love making those decisions for myself and just being like throwing myself in the deep end, you know, and that's what I mean about like performing well under pressure. It's that same thing, kind of like, if I'm going to do this callback, I'm going to make myself almost as uncomfortable as possible. So
you're going all in.
Yeah, I'm going all in.
Yeah. So that's amazing.
And then, so he was like, okay, sure, go for it. And I was like, and let's set up some meetings while I'm there. Like, let's do some like manager meetings and da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, all right, cool. Yep. And then I went over there and I met with a lot of different managers, and I've signed with the managers that I'm with now. And I've signed with an agent with McKeon and Myonis.
Okay.
Laura, yeah. And then signed with my agent over there, and then did the callback, then came back, and then was able to meet all the writers and just do it face to face. It was just epic.
So you signed with an agent before you booked the role?
Yeah. That's
amazing.
Yeah. It's so bizarre, actually. Looking back on that, I'm like, that was such a bizarre.
How did that, obviously I imagine your agent in Australia had some flex to get you these meetings, and when you went and met with them, did they ask you to read for them, or, you know, was it?
No, I had some self tapes that I already
got it. Okay.
In Sydney that my agent was sending along, and they just, I guess, just believed in me, and then just took the risk. So
that's so rad.
Which I loved, because that's I just risk takers. I like being around them, so it's great.
You literally came to LA and crushed in 2 days. Only me at Healey.
So lucky. Like, the stars really did align, and I'm so just grateful that even happened. I look back on that and I'm like, I remember landing in Sydney getting the call that I'd booked the Wilds and just being like, what the fuck was that trip?
You're Margot Robbie, dude.
It was bizarre, so bizarre.
So then talk to me about, I mean, obviously we got to talk about the callback moment. How did that go?
So I had never done, I'd only ever done a few auditions in the room in Australia, or mostly just meetings in Australia, because it was American stuff that I was auditioning for. So it was all self-tapes. And this was the first, I guess, kind of audition that I'd done in the room, properly, callback for sure, in LA. And I go in, and it's one of those auditions. I don't know if you've ever done this. I haven't done it since, but it was one of those callbacks where you walk into the room and there's like a stage. It was like the black box, and it was like all black, like a mini stage. And then like rows and rows of like producers and the writers and from the show.
Oh my God.
And like execs and stuff watching and then filming it. And I was mic'd up before I went in. And I remember they were mic'd up in the waiting room, and I was like, why am I getting mic'd up? Because I was expecting to just go in to be like
you screen tested.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a screen. Yeah. I screen tested.
Oh my God. And they didn't even tell you?
I don't even think I knew what it was, Ryan.
That's so rad.
I just like I was just like got an email and I was like, okay, I'll be there. I don't know. It was so, I mean, it was a while ago now as well. So
was it for the role that you booked?
Yeah. So I knew I was screen testing actually because I had to sign the contract. There was this contract.
The NDA.
The NDA also the kind of like, if you book this, you have to basically do it. Yeah. So I was like signing things and doing it. So I knew what I was doing a screen test, but I didn't really know what a screen test was. I was so green, at that point. So they were micing me up and I was like, what's going on? Like, anyway, walked in there and there was a whole room of people and I was like, okay, this is so random. And then just did it on the little stage and then left.
And speaking of rising to pressure, did you feel it, or at that moment you're like, fuck it?
I loved it.
That's awesome. That's what I wanted to hear.
Man, I was just like, saw the people and I was like, okay, all right.
Mic drop.
You know what I mean? Like, let's do it. I just like, you've got to have that positive self-talk.
And so then, I mean, obviously walking out of that callback screen test, and having you signed with an agent and manager, did you have a flight back or did you stay? What happened?
I had moved my flight back a few days or something so I could fit in some more meetings that I had with different casting directors after I'd done that and signed with a manager and a new agent. They were like, okay, let's get you to meet these people. So I was like, okay, I was only supposed to be here for 4 days, but I just extended my trip a little bit so I could meet these people before I went back to Oz.
Yeah.
And then eventually, and my mom, is listening to me on the phone. I'm like, I'm staying. And I went with my brother as well because my brother.
Oh, did you guys get like a hotel? What did you do?
Yeah, so me and my brother went together because I was like, I'm going to go to America to do this thing. My brother Oscar was like, oh, I'll just come with you and like see LA, like
have fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So we went, but then he had to leave because his return flight, And
he couldn't push it off, right? Yeah.
No, so he had to go back. He probably had work or something, and then left. And I was calling my mom like, I'm not coming back with Oscar. I'm staying a few days. Mom's like, what's going on?
Oh my God.
I was like running out of money, like so bad. I was like getting like the dodgiest hotels.
Oh, I've been there. On Hotel Tonight, trying to find the best rate.
Yeah, I was in there being like, the door lock was like nothing. I was just like, okay.
Oh, there's some seedy hotels on Sunset, and I've stayed in all of them. But that's awesome. So then, at this point, were you trying to get a visa for America, or was that not even a concern yet?
Well, yes and no. I was kind of waiting to see what happened with this screen test, this audition, before I went out and kind of funded my own visa because it's very expensive and something that I'd really have to budget for. So I had to make sure that that's kind of the only thing I really had to plan when it comes to like money, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I came home and then I booked the job. So I kind of,
what was the turnaround between the screen test and was it a week or was it longer?
I think it was a few days.
Oh, amazing. So you knew pretty soon.
Yeah. I think it was a week maybe, or like within a week. Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew pretty soon. So I didn't have to, I landed, the day I landed, I found out that I booked it. So I was just like, didn't have to worry about a visa for the moment.
And did you do the thank you next to your hotel receptionist job?
Yeah, yeah, I did. And they were actually super, just proud of me and happy. So it was like, they were really nice about it. But I was like, yeah.
That's amazing. So then did you move to America then?
No, because we filmed it. So we filmed the pilot in New Zealand.
Okay.
And then after, because while I was filming it, I was like, okay, great. Well, after this, I'm going to go back to LA and I'm going to, meet with a immigration lawyer and try and get a visa and all this stuff. Book a job and live, like basically just suss out moving there. So I finished the pilot and went to LA for 3 months. Spoke to my.
So you didn't even know it was a series when you.
No, I didn't even know it was a series.
Wow.
Went to LA, spoke to a lawyer, and she basically advised me that it'd be better to wait and find out if it would be easier to get a visa if the series got picked up. So I was like, okay, well, no worries. They were kind of saying we'll find out by Christmas.
Yeah.
And I went to LA like the end of October or something. So I was like, oh, we'll find out soon anyway. So it's all good.
And when you shot the pilot, did you feel like it would, obviously, I mean, I imagine it was a magical experience, but was there a mood on set of like, we got something?
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a lot of hope and faith in this show, and a lot of people believed in it. And I think you need to have people to believe in it for it to be successful. And all of us girls that were cast all believed in it. So, when everyone believes in it, it's different, it's magic. So it was good, but then our hope started to kind of, I mean, for us as the actors, our hope started to kind of crumble as like months and months would go on, and they weren't telling us if it was getting picked up. And we were kind of sitting on the edge of our seat every morning waiting for a call, like, is my life going to change or not?
Were you still auditioning during this time?
I was auditioning, but then I couldn't get a visa because I didn't know if the show was getting picked up. So I just ended up auditioning, but I couldn't take any work because I didn't have a visa.
Oh, right. The SAG rules.
It was actually a great experience. I actually went with one of the girls that I worked with on The Wild. So it was a great experience, but it was not what I had expected. And again, like, this is why I don't plan anything, because it just never works out the way that you think. So yeah, and then I came back, and then we eventually found out in like July or something the next year that it was getting picked up. And by that point,
that long?
It took so long. It took like almost a year to get back. That's
insane.
It was, you can imagine by the end of it, you're like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it was traumatic. And it wasn't traumatic, but it was very, upsetting. And then finding out it got picked up, we were like, oh my gosh, thank God. But then at that point, there was only a few months left until we went back to New Zealand to film season 1. So I wasn't going to go and get a visa then.
Yeah.
And then I went and did season 1 and then finished. And then my managers and team were like, go back to Sydney, pack up your life, move over to LA. And I was like, boom. So came back, basically packed up my life, was talking to my lawyer, and I was like getting the visa process. It was like almost done. And then COVID hit. So
no, I feel you, dude. Right as this podcast took off, I started getting acting momentum and COVID hit. I was like, oh.
I know. Yeah. It's just I know COVID ruined everything. Oh, well.
Oh, well, I mean, let's go back to some joy. How about the experience of filming it? How was that?
Oh, amazing. I mean, it was kind of like, when you're studying acting, you get to wake up every day and know that you promised art and you're promised this thing that you love. So did you know your episode was coming? Did they tell you that you were going to get this particular episode that was like a deep dive into your character? Yeah. And I knew it was going to be around episode 8. So I knew I had 8 episodes, and, they didn't tell me a lot prior to that. So every episode reading the script, I was like, was just on the edge of my seat waiting to see what happened in episode 8. But, I kind of liked it that way because it kept that sort of momentum of like excitement and in the role. But yeah, it was such a great time. I loved shooting it in New Zealand. It was beautiful, such a beautiful country, and the crew was amazing.
Such an intense episode, the circumstances of her character having, an evangelical father and being a member of the LGBTQ community and in the pageantry and having a friend that's, I mean, the circumstances are so epic for that character.
I know there's so much going on in her life, and there's the teeth, and it's like
the teeth. God, yeah.
She really has her work cut out for her, for sure.
Yeah, was that intense being your first thing to play something literally so fucking dramatic?
Yeah, but amazing. Like, I love the best thing ever. I was, and that was like always the role that I envisioned in my mind that I would love to play. Some sort of deeply troubled person that was harboring a lot of secrets and trauma and goes a bit crazy and kind of just falls apart.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that in stories in film and TV, seeing characters that you just watch them decline and kind of fall apart and then build themselves back up and rise from the ashes.
Yeah.
And I love characters like that, and just the range that she goes through of experiences is just so human and that's why I love performing these human experiences that are just so traumatic.
Yeah.
Sometimes life is just like that, and it's almost like a cathartic to express that. It feels like a therapy for me.
Totally. And did you guys have really good rapport, with all the women on the island and, everyone else that your family that you got to act with, family, I mean, TV family?
Yeah, TV family.
Yeah.
Well, having like people pretending to be my parents. I was like, what? Yeah, we all got along super, super well, which I think,
And that was all shot in New Zealand, the whole thing?
All of it. Yeah. It was
wow.
crazy. Yeah, it was awesome. We all got along so well. I think everyone wants to get along really well. I was kind of nervous that maybe we wouldn't, because you just never know.
You really don't ever know. Anyone who says they know is lying.
Yeah. You never. So I was I kind of nervous about it, but it turned out to be just like amazing. We all got along so well, and everyone was, so different. And it was wonderful casting, because every character was so unique and different, and they are played by these unique and different like women. Like they're all so, like, we're all so different from each other, and we all bring certain qualities to this, like, craft in this world that like a lot of us just respect and admire. So it was nice to have them there and to lean on them for different things. And they were just great resources and people.
That's so beautiful. How long did you guys shoot for?
6 months.
Oh, so you got to like proper move to New Zealand. That's awesome.
Yeah, big time. It was awesome. My family came over for Christmas. They all flew over to Christmas there. It was so much fun.
That's amazing. And
it was great.
And so when you wrap this project, I imagine, at this point, especially for your reps, not even just in Australia, you had some serious momentum to seize on. Did things start to pick up for you audition wise?
Yes and no. It was definitely picking up, but then COVID happened, so it kind of went straight in.
How soon after filming was COVID? So
I landed in at the end of February, like early.
So 2 weeks.
So like zero. It was like 2 weeks. Like there was stuff in like the works, like things that we were talking about, future projects that were supposed to be happening in like September in New York or things like that had to get, I guess, postponed or cancelled. Who knows? So there are a few things in the works, but they'll come back, or another.
Yeah, they will. I have no doubt they will come back for you. You're a superstar. I mean, for the audience listening, it's a question I asked towards the end, but I'm going to ask it now anyway. What kept you? Let's go back to the verb anchored. During the COVID time when you had all this momentum, which I totally identify with, and then you're like, "Fuck." What did you do?
I think for me, just knowing that, yes, COVID was awful, but there was this kind of feeling of knowing that everyone in the world was going through this one thing, kind of felt really harmonious for me in a way, and felt really like, I don't know, I felt like we were all kind of holding hands, in a weird way. I mean, not because of social distancing, but you know what I mean? Like that kind of kept me going, knowing that I would have been very, very, very upset if I got, you know, came back to Sydney and they were like, you're in lockdown, the rest of the world is.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't know, I'd probably run away. I don't know what I'd do. It'd be very upsetting. But knowing that the whole world was going through it made it easier. Also just reconnecting back with my roots, you know, coming back to family. And I was living with my parents when I got back. So just, you know, being around family was the thing for me, and just that sense of, being anchored and like your rocks being around you. It was nice. I was happy that I wasn't alone, for sure. I felt really bad for people that were kind of really, really isolated, like all of themselves. I need people, faces.
Me too. So. I'm the same way. I mean, what were there anything in particular that you were watching that was like you found very inspiring during COVID?
A lot of it was just like rewatching all the classics. Like
I did the same.
Rewatch a lot of the classics to make me feel like something again. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt nice to kind of go back there. But also I watched Normal People.
They're friends.
Yes, and I listened to your podcast as well with
Paul and Daisy are great. You know, they're so. That was that show I got very early on, so it was crazy to see the real time experience of something explode. You know. Yeah. What has it been like for you with this show, The Wilds, to go from being on set to watching it explode?
It's definitely and because it was my first ever job, I've never noticed, and because we did the pilot in a year and waited, and then we went back and shot for 6 months, and then COVID, so I had a lot of time between booking it and seeing it, and I've gotten so used to just it being something that I never imagined anyone seeing. It was always something that like I'd just done with my friends on set and the crew, and it was always, and the writers, and it just felt like this private thing. So seeing it on the telly was very, very, very bizarre. Seeing photos of posters of it in LA and like New York and stuff like that was very bizarre for me. I was so upset that I couldn't be there, because that is such like a milestone for me in my life, but it happened. So
you did it and you crushed it.
And it's bizarre. It's bizarre having people like
slide into your DMs.
Like social media becoming this almost like professional thing now. It's a business almost. I mean, it's not like I'm still like really like myself on my platforms, but I'm having to be very careful of what I post and what I put out there. And you know, back in the day, you know, it's just so like. I was just like a bit of a hooligan with all my mates, and now it's like
I totally relate. I so many of the guests of this show that have been so kind follow me, and sometimes I'll post like forgive me audience, like a dick joke, and I'll be like, that was probably not the classiest move to do.
It's like, I don't know. It's like how much, because you have to become more of a private person, which is hard for me because I'm not a private person. I really like. You ask me anything and I'll tell you sort of person. So it's hard to kind of manage that. No one really tells you how to do that. They're kind of just like, this is amazing. You have like so many followers or whatever it is. That's great.
As the show started to air, I'm curious, what did the DMs go from like 20 to like 2,000 to 20,000 to just above and above?
They honestly, it was kind of like an overnight thing, like within a matter of like days.
Oh, I guess because everyone can watch it at once. You're right. Yeah.
It just went from like 0 to like I don't even know how many. It just says like, I don't know.
Too many to read. Don't read them. I made the mistake of doing that.
They say not to do that.
Yeah. Oh man, I've gotten some weird ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that's so cool. Well, then as you know, I'm sure the fall hit and things started to kind of pick up like production wise. And I say that very minimally. Did things start to come Mia's way audition wise, like September, October, anything in the fall?
October, let me think. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Definitely things started opening up a lot. Definitely a lot more auditions. A lot of people started, opening conversations around working again, and stuff like that. And then I had a lot of press for the Wilds, and then I'm still
talking to your team about a journey, like what the moves are tactically?
I feel like, again, like I kind of don't want to plan it, but we
Yeah.
do have conversations around like where we feel the next step is or isn't. Like when something comes through, we might go, oh, that's not really, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just going with the flow because it's so, and now, you know, you can't plan anything in this industry. And now with COVID, you can't plan anything,
No.
period. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like whatever comes my way, I'm just so grateful for, and we'll just, you know, try and make work. And
Who's the lucky family member that you do the self-tapes with?
I do them at my agent's office, actually.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. Good for you.
My agent's great. He does all the reads and he does the accent and everything. He's great.
That's amazing. That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you know, what are some artists that you hope to work with soon? Are there any shows or some like artists, you know, directors, actors, anyone that's on Mia's list?
Oh my gosh. I've said before, but I'll say it again. I've always really wanted to work with Cate Blanchett.
Oh, wow. Just because you've looked up to her for so long?
Yeah, she's just totally an idol for me.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, manifest it.
I know it. I see it. In October. That's the month. It's going to happen in October. We'll circle back on that and do a catch up then. But that's amazing. So talk to me outside of acting, you know, what's been keeping you busy? How have you been, you know, having fun?
I've started meditating a little bit. Not so much meditating as like breath work. You know Wim Hof?
Is that an app?
It's not. It's a person, but he does he does like breath work, and basically, it's on. I think it might be on Spotify, but it's on.
Have you joined Clubhouse yet?
No, what's that?
You've not heard about this thing? It's like this new. Oh, I'll have to send you an invite. It's like this new. It's this new platform that basically is like a podcast. Like it's Zoom, but audio only. And like now all these like huge, you know, guru energy guys are on there doing guided meditations, and you join the room just like how you would join a Zoom room. And there's a speaker and there's like a button to raise your hand if you want to like ask a question. And like Elon Musk is doing them, you know, and because it's a relatively new app, I don't know. I think the most crowded room is like 12,000, but it's probably double that now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That would have been, yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely going to do that.
But if you're into meditation, that's the app for you.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't always into meditation because I felt like two things. I was kind of always thinking and wanting to talk to people. Like I can't really meditate around people because I like kind of want to chat.
Yeah.
And also I feel like if I'm too quiet, this sounds kind of morbid, but like if I'm too quiet, I'm scared of like what I'm going to start thinking about.
I know, me too.
Yeah, I'm like, I love the silence too much. I'm like, who knows what's going to happen? But lately I've started doing that, which has like made my life a lot more relaxed. But in Australia, keeping busy is pretty easy now because, you know,
you guys are pretty relaxed with the restrictions now, right?
Yeah. Like our borders are open, and you know, restaurants and bars are open, and you can, you know, I've been doing a lot of fun stuff lately and kind of making up for all the things I couldn't do in COVID.
Tell us, what are you doing?
I don't know, just like bowling alleys and like arcades and playing all the games.
That sounds so fun. I would kill to be able to do that.
So much fun. And I'm so excited to go to Queensland soon because there's like the Dream World, like all the theme parks.
Oh, they're all open.
I think so. Oh my gosh, that's actually a good question. I hope they're open. But Queensland's doing really well, so hopefully they are.
That's amazing. And wait, are you guys having live concerts in theater yet?
We're having theater. Yeah, I'm actually seeing a play tonight, and then I'm seeing a play next week. But we are not. I haven't seen any. We have live music. Like there are people that go to the bars and stuff and play live music. But I haven't seen any concerts advertised, like big sort of mosh pit sort of concerts.
Amazing. Well, I'm like so blown away by your journey and your energy. I love talking with you. I could talk to you for hours and hours. We could just be buddies. I'll follow you on Instagram. We'll become like, you know, we'll every time you get an audition, I want to hear what's going on. But or I want to be we'll be each other's reader. But
let's do that.
So, you know, if you don't mind, two final questions for you. You know, one we already kind of touched on, but recently, you know, it's a tough time for everyone in the world. You know, is there a show? Is there a piece of music? What's keeping me inspired?
I feel like I've been reading a book recently. I actually been reading 2 books, but the book Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey? No way. Everyone's telling me that book is good. I kind of found it hard to believe, but okay, I guess it is.
I don't know why I found it hard to believe. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I was kind of like, I don't know about it. But my mom was reading it, and my mom was like, it's actually so peaceful and good. And I was reading it, and I took it away with me, and I went on a little trip somewhere, and I was reading it, and I was like, oh, it's just so peaceful and like brings you back down to earth almost. It's a really good book, and he's got great stories, and it's like funny and serious and inspiring. So I found like, yeah, I guess that book for sure. I watched Promising Young Woman. I don't know.
I just watched it too.
Very good.
Yeah. Little trouble with the ending for me, but I thought it was all very good.
Really? What was the trouble?
Well, I mean, spoiler alert, anyone who doesn't want to know, like the fact that she died, I was like, come on, dude, you know? Yeah, she should have just carved him out. I needed that moment. I needed it.
But I think that's why they did it, because it's so unfair.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's like that unfair. It's like,
I guess that's the whole theme of the movie. You're right.
Yeah, like we were kind of hoping that she would. I was like psyched for her. Like when she was in there.
Me too.
Like,
I've never been that eager for violence in my life.
I hate violence, but I was like, seriously, you go off. And then that happened, and it was such a long scene as well, and also not at the very end. So I was like, what? And I was like, surely not.
I also thought it was so cool because I've seen Carey Mulligan on stage, but I've never seen her in. This is probably not the most elegant, but that was the most rock and roll I've ever seen Carey Mulligan. You know, like, I always think of her as very elegant and educated, and I love that it was so rock and roll. You know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for her. That's the sort of like movies that inspire me as well. Like doing stuff that's just like completely like not your, I guess, brand.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
That's so cool.
Well, for all the young, wide-eyed future Mia Healeys out there that didn't get into the respective equivalent of NIDAs, any words of wisdom for all the wide-eyed, bushy-tailed actors out there?
Take risks.
Yeah.
Take risks and, I mean, be safe within measure, but take risks and find a way to enjoy being embarrassed. I feel like
I love that. That's the best advice I might say anyone's given on the show.
Yeah,
that's what acting is.
If you think about it, like acting is like so embarrassing, and some of the stuff they make you do, especially in auditions, is so embarrassing. So you've got to find a way to find the fun in that and the light and enjoy it and let it sort of push you and drive you and inspire you. That embarrassment. Yeah,
that's amazing, Mia. I had so much fun with you.
Me too.
Yeah. Come back anytime. I'll take you literally once a week. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
The world will love it. But I got so much love for you. You're literally being shot out of a cannon. It's so beautiful to watch. Come visit me in New York City. Let's have a night. It'll be so fun. We'll have some auditions and some self tapes. And I'm looking forward to everything that's to come for you. Is there a way that you want people to stay in contact with you, maybe, or not? Instagram?
I mean, yeah, I've got Instagram and Twitter and the works. I mean, I think that's kind of it. I only have Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, those are the only ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. But yeah.
Thank you. That's so great. Well, you're killing it. You're inspiring me. Thank you for giving back. And this was amazing. So much love.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.
I am thrilled to announce that An Actor Despairs is partnering with a wonderful CBD company called Kind Farms. Everyone out there has heard of CBD. I started taking it a few years ago when I first started getting sober and to help with my anxiety. Sadly, as one can do, I was overtraining in the gym, and a friend recommended a topical and a tincture to help with the pain. I tried it. It was okay. However, recently, I was introduced to a product that has really changed my life. Not only has it helped me with anxiety, but I am stronger than I have ever been. I'm able to carry out lifts my body used to prevent me from doing. Kind Farm products have single-handedly changed my life athletically and personally. They utilize 100% local licensed farmers, organic cultivation, and CO2 extraction for superior CBD. Kind Farms is turning CBD to a kind alternative to pharmaceuticals. Let's transform tobacco row into hemp row. If you want to get involved, please reach out. Together, we can make a difference. You can use my code RYAN10 for 10% off. You can find them on Instagram at Kind Farms Inc., all one word. That's KINDPHARMSINC, and their website is kindfarmsinc.com. Once again, my code for 10% off is Ryan.